It's the final week of the CrossFit Games Open. Danielle, Brandon, Mal O'Brien, they are headed to Omaha, Nebraska. But we are here in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. I'm Lauren Khalil, Tommy Marquez. Amazing to be here. It's exciting.
Yeah, it came together last minute. I know we're both stoked to be here, and it's pretty cool that we get to see some carryover between NoBull and our sport as well as the NFL.
Yeah, because what we saw at the CrossFit Games with the warm-up area, with the locker rooms, that's what they brought here to Indianapolis.
Yeah, you know, their work at the CrossFit Games has set up NoBull for success here in this endeavor, being the presenting sponsor for the Combine. We'll obviously get to talk to them about that more, but you know, one of the things that I'm always impressed by at the Combine is the physical feats of prowess, you know, where you talk about the speed, the agility, the strength. So it makes sense that you have a training partner for that area of testing that knows training like NoBull. So it just seemed like a natural fit, and I'm really excited that we get to be a part of it.
And speaking of that, there's some storylines that we're going to be following, but there's a particular athlete that has some CrossFit roots that will actually be here this week.
Yeah, there's a CrossFitter in the ranks of the athletes taking part in the Combine. Tyson Bagent, he is an athlete out of D2 school, Shepherd University. He's not just any athlete though. He has the NCAA record for all-time career passing touchdowns at 159. He set that record earlier this year. That's one of the reasons why he got this Combine invite. And he could really set history if he has a good weekend and gets drafted. No Shepherd player has been drafted since 1960. No D2 quarterback has been drafted since 1999. Tyson's dad, Travis, used to be the floor announcer at the CrossFit Games way back in the day. So there are roots all the way through. He's been doing CrossFit since he was a kid, and be a really cool opportunity to represent the community through his performance here.
I love to see it all coming full circle and really having those CrossFit roots showing in different sports like football and the NFL.
No doubt.
We're hopefully going to be catching up with him. We're going to be speaking with other athletes, getting a behind the scenes look. But Tommy and I are also going to have a little bit of a competition ourselves. We are the maybe fill-in NFL Combine athletes. I don't know if they're going to call us up, but
yeah, I mean, there's the, you know, we might get an invite here or there after our performance, but you can see the Combine experience behind us, and that's an opportunity for fans and media and people to get a taste of what that Combine testing looks like. And obviously there's some NoBull athletes, Cole Sager, Sam Dancer, they're gonna be here as well. So we might dip our toe in the water and see who comes out on top between us. So.
And eventually we will compete in this week's Open. But before we get to that, let's kind of recap what we saw for 23.2 A and B. What are your initial thoughts of the leaderboard scores, athletes?
Well, my initial instinct at the announcement, part A was just as much a mental test as it was a physical test. You know, if you really want to have a good score and just put the gas pedal down, you're going to have to be honest in your pacing, and that kind of proved to be true. And then for the thruster, I think a lot of the community got a chance to A, test their 1 rep max thruster possibly for the first time, or B, set a long time overdue PR, because I think the thruster is a lift that when we talk about 1 rep max strength tests is often overlooked. And I think it's a nice reminder that, hey, we should test this one too.
Because we're used to testing the thruster in the Open in volume, in reps, but I really like the idea of testing it in weight, because I think it caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, I loved it. I hit a PR too, but you know, it was just a nice opportunity after not seeing a 1 rep max thruster for over a decade in the sport to see it come back in the Open.
At the time of this recording, these are the unofficial winners. On the men's side, Charles Curran with 191 reps. That's into the set of 35 burpee pull-ups. And then Graciano Rubio is the winner of Part B after hitting a 375-pound thruster. Tommy, it was the high kick at the end for me because he was still holding onto that barbell overhead.
I think there's a couple pieces that you didn't see that make it that much more impressive. Before he warmed up for that in testing.
Warmed up.
Yeah, 405 thruster. You can check that out on his Instagram. It is awesome. 4 plates and he's able to thruster that.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you look at part A, he didn't just lay down on that workout. He got 119 reps. He got through 4 shuttle runs going into the round of 30 after the round of 25 burpee pull-ups. That's a legit score. So a nice blend of capacity and strength for someone who put up just some insane weights, and it's an awesome performance to, you know, to close out week 2.
Yeah, it certainly was. On the women's side, no surprise, Mal O'Brien, she had 188 reps, so also into that set of 35 burpee pull-ups. But then a new face for part 2 for the thruster, Barrett Coons hitting 242. I think she tied you, Tommy.
She actually did. I was feeling really good about my PR thruster, and then I saw Barrett Coons put up that score, and I'm like, well, there goes my confidence.
You're not
for
the
week.
women's champion anymore.
All joking aside, a tremendous performance for her. An interesting back and forth between them too, because it looked like initially Kelsey Keel might walk away as the winner. She posted her score a little bit earlier. There was, her manager Snorri Barron obviously, took some blame for maybe pushing her to post it early, but it was a stand-up move by Snorri. But really what it did is it allowed Barrett to have an opportunity to retest the thruster. She comes back on Monday, she knocks out a 242 thruster and beats her old score, and the end result is a new name, a new athlete that we're maybe not familiar with, getting some prize money hopefully, and that's an awesome story. And then, Mal winning part A, I think everyone kind of looks at that one, sees the amazing score, sees her capacity again for gymnastics, for running, and the engine that she's built over time, and goes, yeah, that makes sense.
Right, and good momentum leading into her announcement for this week. Any other athletes on the men or women's side that impressed you overall with either of these pieces?
Well, obviously Tola being second overall in his performance in week 2 is huge, but he is a team athlete this year, so kind of have to shelf that and keep that in the old brain for later on. But you look on the individual side, Tyler Christoffel going north of 170 in part A and north of 315 on part B. One of only 3 athletes alongside Tola to do that, an impressive performance from him overall in week 2. Then you look at Dallin Pepper, 182 in part A. Dallin's a big guy, 215, maybe a little bit more. He may have trimmed down a little bit, but as a bigger guy moving through some of those bodyweight gymnastics stuff, that's just a strong performance for him through and through, and really showcasing the engine work that he's been putting in the off season. And then on the back side of that, for the part B on the women's side, Emma McQuaid, 223 on that lift. She is the second highest lift in part B of any games athlete in that test, second only to Danny Spiegel. If you went to the games and you put that movement there at the games and you said, all right, which one of these athletes is going to be on the top 3? I doubt very many people would pick Emma McQuaid to stand right alongside Danny Spiegel, shades of Jacqueline Dahlstrom in the sandbag event this past year. So I think a strong performance for her to close out week number 2, and should be a huge boost. 223 is no joke.
No, it's not. On the opposing end, were there any athletes that maybe surprised you or disappointed you?
I wouldn't say disappointed. I was kind of scouring for the most part. I think a lot of the big name athletes kept it between the buoys because of what's at stake in the Open. Really is just getting to quarterfinals. I will provide a little bit of a call out to our colleague Sean Woodland. He didn't get to do this workout because unfortunately there was a huge snowstorm in California, so he got snowed in where his house is up in the mountains.
Poor Sean.
So I want to call Sean out and say I'll be disappointed if he doesn't find a way to get back to NorCal alongside Jason Khalipa and get to test that with the 2008 champ in his face.
Yeah. I love it. Good luck to Sean. So sad that he wasn't able to test that. Nonetheless, we have one more week where he can still put up a score. Now we are going to look at the overall leaders, the top 5 on the women's side. We have Mal O'Brien, Paige Powers, Emma Lawson, Alex Kazan, and Ariel Lowen. On the men's side, Jeff Adler, Tola Moraquino, Colton Mertens, Tyler Christoffel, and Reggie Fossa. Now we're going to toss it over to Brian Friend and Sean Woodland for a look deeper into last week's performances.
Thank you, Lauren. Joined now by the official friend of the show, Brian Friend. Brian, we have 3 scored tests on the books now for the 2023 NoBull CrossFit Open. 1 week remains. Let's start with the men's side. Who has impressed you the most so far in that competition?
I think there are 3 guys all sitting inside the top 10 that have really caught my eye, and for different reasons. We'll just start with the one who's doing the best, which is Cam Crockett. He's been 11th place the last 2 years in semifinals and is definitely looking to make that jump to the CrossFit Games. Obviously, he's off to an excellent start, sitting in a top 10 position through 2 weeks of the Open this season. Just behind him is Samuel Cornwallis, making a return to individual competition this year. The last time we saw him in an individual field, he was 23rd at the 2021 CrossFit Games. He was certainly not happy with that. Definitely believes he's a top 20, maybe a top 10 guy. He's been solid in all 3 workouts so far, and that's just increasing my excitement for him this season. And lastly is Dallin Pepper, sitting in 10th right now. He hasn't been to the games last season, but he's looking to make that push up the leaderboard as well. Especially impressed with his performance on 23.2A. He's been working on his running, he's been working on his cardio, and it showed in his performance on that workout.
Let's move now to the women's side. After 3 scored tests, who has really caught your eye in the women's division?
Yeah, 3 women all sitting inside the top 15 of the worldwide leaderboard. Shelby Neal, Abigail Dammit, and Kelly Baker. Shelby Neal was really close to making the games last year. We weren't sure if she'd compete this season or not. She says she has that intention. She's only 23 years old, and we've seen her have basically a perfect run last year outside of one workout. I think that things are boding really well for her this season. Abigail Dahman, a little bit lesser known, 16th at the Syndicate Crown last season, but so far she's been exceptional, and maybe she's one of those athletes that can make a big jump. She's 25. It's a good age for making a move up the leaderboard, especially in a semifinal. And Kelly Baker coming back to individual competition. We haven't seen her do that since 2018 when she was 13th in the East Regional. She had a great offseason. She's back in the mix this year, and I think things are looking up for all three of those women.
And finally, with just 1 week remaining here in the Open, who needs to do some work to get themselves into a satisfactory position heading into the quarterfinals now?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the way that the season is structured now, the Open has some significance, but not nearly as much as we're used to. And really the same can be said for quarterfinals when it comes to many of the best athletes in the world. But there's also this thing of confidence and momentum and building some of that throughout the season. And I got 2 men and 2 women who are sitting in positions right now that I think no matter what's going on with their training, it's just not that great of a reflection of probably what their fitness is overall. Either way, I'd like to see them make improvements in the quarterfinals if they want to have a chance to get back to the games this year. Those are Sarah Sigmundsdottir and Chloe Wilson. They're in 235th and 244th. Currently, the leaderboard is still technically unofficial. And Brent Fikowski and Guy Maieros, who are even lower on the leaderboard, 483rd for Brent, 548th for Guy. I expect these athletes to do much better as the season goes on, but it's probably not the start that any of us, including them, were hoping for after 2 weeks of the Open.
Brian, thanks so much. Good luck with 23.3. That's it for us. Let's send it back to Lauren and Tommy at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis.
Thanks, Sean and Brian. If you guys want to stay up to date with everything we have going on, make sure that you tune into our podcast where we'll go a little bit of a deeper dive into some of these topics, as well as like, subscribe, follow YouTube, Instagram. We have all of the content from the NFL Combine, CrossFit, and we're diving into some other sports like the tactical games and also weightlifting. We also were able to catch up with Todd Meleney. He is the Chief Marketing Officer for NoBull, and he spoke about the combination of CrossFit into the NFL and how NoBull is supporting the Combine.
At the CrossFit Games, that's the origin of our brand and the origin of the athlete experience that we've created here at the NFL Scouting Combine. And it's been amazing to see the transition from where we started to where we're going, while also bringing that origin with us.
What do you think has been like the coolest part thus far, seeing NFL stars?
Yeah, well, it's just exciting to see them light up in a really natural way. They're still kids, that are coming out of college, and this is their first interaction with the NFL. And they get to pass through NoBull as a gateway to that experience. And what we've built for them here is a first-class experience that they're loving and engaging with in a really natural, authentic way, grounded in training, with their recovery center, with the performance center, and then with the locker room, which we also celebrate really well at the CrossFit Games.
Thanks, Todd, and thanks to everybody here at NoBull. It's going to be exciting because we are going to take on some of the fan experience that we talked about behind us. Yep. But something else going on this week is obviously the 23.3. It's the final week. Mal O'Brien, Danielle Brandon. It's going to be a crazy matchup. What are your thoughts?
Don't forget you versus me. I think that's the matchup everybody wants to see.
The leading matchup.
Maybe depending on what actually shows up. I might bow out to give you that one. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This is going to be fair competition.
No, but really, you look at this matchup and some of the storylines coming in. The two athletes that are going head to head, Danielle Brandon, she's on the cusp of being a podium athlete, right? Mm-hmm. Finishing 4th last year. Well, this is a great opportunity to go head to head with a podium athlete and someone that a lot of people think can win the games this year. If you can step up toe to toe on a high demand, high pressure point like this and perform and go head to head with Mal, I think that's a huge building block for her the rest of the way. And then Mal, she's sitting in 1st overall right now. You talk to the HWPO camp, they say she's solely focused on winning the games. To me, that signals that she'll likely be one and done on this test. So what we see in the announcement will be her score, and that could be an opportunity for her to seal the deal on a 2nd consecutive worldwide open win in front of the entire CrossFit community, and I think that would be a special moment.
Will be. Just a couple hours left until we have that open announcement. Some other things that you guys can be looking forward to on all of our platforms. We have Time Cap that will have any headlines that you've missed from the week. We also have the Wide World of Fitness, where we recap you on some other sports in the fitness realm. Also our recaps, our previews, athlete interviews, everything that you guys need to know. You'll be able to see with myself, Sean, Tommy, and Brian's joining the mix a little bit here and there too, so you'll be able to see him. For now though, I'm Lauren Khalil. Thanks for joining us today from the NFL Combine. Tommy, are you excited?
Oh, I can't wait. I got to stretch for this 40. I don't want to pop a hammy.
If he does, you'll be able to see that too. So,
Oh man.
thanks guys, we'll see you then.